Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're plugging into a story that you probably think you know, but I promise you, its history is way longer and honestly a lot more dramatic than you might imagine. We're talking about the electric car, a piece of tech that's been on a nearly 200-year roller coaster of genius innovation, spectacular failure, and one heck of a comeback. So let's just start with a really simple question to get our gears turning. Are electric cars a new thing? I mean, if you think they're a product of the 21st century dreamed up in Silicon Valley, you are in for a serious surprise. The real story, well, it begins long before anyone had ever even heard of a microchip. All right, let's just take a quick look at this timeline, because it really tells a whole story. You've got this classic rise, fall, and rebirth arc. It all starts way back in the 1830s with the very first spark of an idea. Then, boom, a golden age around 1900, which is then followed by a total collapse. A little flicker of interest in the 70s, and then bam, the massive revolution we're all seeing today. This is the journey we're about to take. Okay, let's start with part one, the unexpected beginning. And to do that, we have to go all the way back to the 1830s. We're talking steam trains, horse-drawn carriages, and, believe it or not, the very first electric vehicles. So, say hello to Robert Anderson, a Scottish inventor who put together one of the world's first ever crude electric carriages. I mean, what a revolutionary idea. But it had one massive flaw. The batteries couldn't be recharged. So once the juice was gone, that was it. Game over. You can think of it like one of those disposable toys. It's amazing for a minute, but not exactly practical for getting around town every day. So the real turning point, the moment that changes everything, comes in 1859. A French physicist named Gaston Planté invents the rechargeable lead-acid battery. And this was the absolute game changer. All of a sudden, the electric vehicle wasn't just a one-and-done experiment anymore. It was a concept with real, actual potential. And it paved the way for the car's first true era of success. And that brings us to the first golden age, a time when electricity really did rule the road. Now, it's kind of hard to believe, but there was a time when choosing an electric car was actually the sophisticated, popular thing to do. Get a load of this number, 30%. In the year 1900, electric cars made up almost a third of all the automobiles in the US. That's a bigger market share than they have in a lot of countries even today. They weren't some niche product. They were a serious mainstream contender. You see, back then, it was this three-way battle for the future of getting around. You had electric cars, like the one you see on the left. Then in the middle, you had steam-powered cars, which were pretty powerful but took forever to start up. And then, on the right, you had the noisy, smelly gasoline car. For a little while there, it was honestly anyone's race to win. So why were EVs so popular? Well, honestly, they were just the easy, user-friendly option. They were quiet, they didn't puff out clouds of stinky exhaust, and this is a big one. You didn't have to risk breaking your arm with a ridiculously difficult hand crank just to get the engine started. You just got in and went. That made them a huge hit for driving in the city. And hey, don't go thinking these early EVs were slow, glorified golf carts. No way. In 1898, this wild torpedo-shaped electric car with the amazing name Jamais Contente, which means the never satisfied, it became the first road vehicle in history to break 100 kilometers per hour. It hit a top speed of 199. This wasn't just a quiet little city car. This was cutting-edge performance for its time. But that golden age, it didn't last. And this leads us to the Great Decline. So what on earth happened? How did gasoline go from being just one of three options to the undisputed champion of the road for nearly 100 years? Well, the first major blow was all about the price tag. Around 1912, a typical electric car would set you back about $1,750. But then, along comes Henry Ford's mass-produced Model T, which sold for just $650. All of a sudden, owning a car wasn't just for the rich anymore, and the affordable choice was clearly gasoline. Really, it was just a perfect storm of factors. On top of the Model T's incredible price, the electric starter was invented in 1912. That got rid of the dangerous hand crank and suddenly made gas cars way easier to use. At the exact same time, huge oil fields were discovered in Texas, making fuel cheap and everywhere. And as America started building better roads connecting cities, the short range of the electric cars became a huge problem. And the result? It was decisive. By 1935, the fight was completely over. The electric car, which was once such a common sight, had pretty much vanished. It became a forgotten piece of technology for decades. But of course, the story doesn't end there. After a very long hibernation, which was sparked by things like the oil crisis in the 1970s and a growing concern for the environment, electricity was finally ready for its modern rebirth. You can really point to two key cars that set the stage for the EV revolution we see today. First up, the Toyota Prius. Now, it wasn't fully electric, but this hybrid proved to the entire world that millions of people were hungry for cars that use alternative energy. And then came the Tesla Roadster. It just completely shattered the stereotype of electric cars as being slow and boring, proving they could be ridiculously fast and something you'd actually want to own. And hey, speaking of Tesla, here's a little fun fact you might not know. While Elon Musk is definitely the face of the company now, he wasn't the original founder. Tesla Motors was actually started back in 2003 by two engineers, Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning. Their dream was to build a high-performance electric sports car. Musk joined them a bit later and took over as CEO in 2008. Which brings us right up to today and gives us a little peek into tomorrow. So let's talk about the tech that makes modern electric cars so incredible and what the next big leap forward is probably going to look like. You know, the real beauty of a modern EV is just how simple it is. I mean, a gasoline car has thousands of moving parts in its engine and transmission. An EV? It's basically a giant battery, a control system, and an electric motor that turns the wheels. That's pretty much it. And that simplicity leads to some huge advantages. EVs are insanely efficient. They convert way more of their energy into actual power at the wheels compared to gas cars. With so few parts, there's just less stuff to break, which means lower maintenance costs. They give you instant torque for that incredible pin-you-to-your-seat acceleration. And of course, they can be powered by renewable energy for truly zero emissions. So what's next? Well, the next great frontier is something called the solid-state battery. The basic idea is that it replaces the flammable liquid that's in today's lithium-ion batteries with a solid material. Now, that might sound like a small change, but trust me, the implications are absolutely revolutionary. Let's just compare them for a second. The difference really points to a massive leap in performance. Solid-state batteries promise to be much, much safer, with a far lower fire risk. They could potentially charge up in just 5 to 10 minutes. And they can hold way more energy, which means longer range. Now, the biggest hurdle right now is cost, but like with all new tech, that's expected to come down over time. And that leaves us with one final big question. After a 190-year journey of incredible highs and devastating lows, the electric car is back, and it's more powerful than ever before. But will its second golden age be permanent this time? Will the future of our roads be exclusively electric? You know, only time will tell.